Welcome back to CTRL-ALT-DELETE. My name is Avery, and today we're going to be picking up where we left off from the last episode, and we're going to be cleaning up the computer and then doing a defrag. So if you're using Windows 10, like a lot of people are now, you may notice that a lot of the things you used to find aren't in the same place. In fact, finding things can be quite a pain in the butt. What I recommend doing is just tapping the Windows key, and then you can literally just start typing, and the search feature will automatically start looking for you. And what we're looking for is the disk cleanup app. It's going to take a quick scan of the computer to see how much space it believes it can free up, and then it's going to give us some options on what to keep and what to get rid of. Normally I would clear just about everything it suggests, but since this isn't my computer or even a computer I'm actually working on, we're going to leave the setup log files. We can get rid of the dump files, archives, error reports. If you haven't seen these or used them, they're likely not useful. Your temporary files can always be scrubbed out, and your recycle bin. This is a big one. This tends to eat up a lot of space for a lot of people. They put things in the garbage and then they just assume it's gone. It's not. And I recommend checking the files before you go into that. The disk cleanup gives you the option to do so. All right, now that we've got everything ready to go and we've checked our recycle bin files, we're just going to let it clear out this 9.8 gigabytes worth of space. And just like that, they're gone. And this may take a while. I recommend having some coffee or a tea. Maybe checking your Facebook on your cell phone while you wait. Wonderful. Now we can head back to disk cleanup. I haven't taken another quick scan. And now we want to clean up our system files. If you're not the administrator, maybe get their permission, or just use their password if you happen to know it. And this is going to do the same thing we just did, but rather than looking at the files and folders and things you've added, it's going to have more of a focus on the internal workings of the system itself. So again, we want to be careful with what we're getting rid of, and if you aren't certain of what it is, file, program, or otherwise, don't delete it. Alrighty, so the update cleanup can go. Defender files, update logs. Can go. And our temporary files. So these are all files created by Windows. It doesn't mean they're necessary, but it does mean you want to make sure you're not getting rid of anything important. And we'll let that one run. And we'll have freed up just over 12 gigabytes of space in total, which is not only going to make things run a little smoother, but it's going to ensure we have room to save all those memes and puppy pictures. Now, if you find yourself staring at a loading bar, it will eventually start playing tricks on your eyes, especially with these lovely animations they have moving up and down the bar to make it feel like it's doing something. To prevent yourself from going insane, I recommend placing the cursor at the very tip of the loading bar and then not staring at it for a few minutes. This way, when you come back, if it is still making progress, you'll be able to check just by having a quick glimpse at your cursor and not trying to count pixels between letters and spaces. All right. Well, that can take a while, like I said, so make sure you've got some time put aside to do this. Don't try and do this before going to work, unless, of course, you're not planning on using your computer before going to work, in which case, by all means, let it run while you're out of the house. The last thing we're going to cover today real quick is doing a disk defragment and optimizing your drives. This looks like it's been done recently. They are set up to be done automatically, which I recommend doing. You can do through the setting files right here. Of course, you'll need administrative privileges. Weekly schedule seems like a bit much for the average user, but if you're doing a lot of editing, a lot of installing, uninstalling programs, or just a lot of work in general, it doesn't hurt. So what you're going to do is you're going to select your drive, give it a quick analyze it real quick. Doesn't normally take too long, especially if your hard drive isn't full. And this will give an idea of how much space we can save and how much cleaning up can be done. Ooh, a whole %. Well, we're going to let it do its thing. Now your computer is probably going to take a little longer, probably have a lot more left to be, or a lot more defragging that needs to be done to it. So we're just going to let it do its thing, and we're going to call it a day. Thanks for stopping by.
Hey Shaw TV, welcome back to Community Producers. February 22nd is Pink Shirt Day here at Shaw. What that means to us is it's an anti-bullying campaign in terms of the whole month. And what we go over is just sharing our promise to the world about how we're going to stop bullying in terms of the workplace, online, and just anywhere that we see it. Coming up next, we've got an amazing segment. It's called Train Town. It's episode 1. I've always been a model guy and I've wanted to learn this kind of stuff. It is cool stuff. Imagine a mini city in your home with a train running around it. Yeah, you know that sushi place? That's a town of that. Check it out, coming up.
Welcome to Train Town. I'm your host, Josh. Today we're here at the Winnipeg Railway Museum visiting the Winnipeg Model Railway Club. We're going to learn all about DCC and see how they've recreated a piece of model train history. That's coming up right now.
Well, everybody likes trains. I don't know of anybody who doesn't. It's a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of different people, and there's a lot of different aspects of the hobby that are really interesting. You don't have to be an expert at anything, and there's a lot of people that can help you out with working with the hobby. You're looking at, it's called the Gateway Western, and basically it's part of a collaboration with the Winnipeg Railway Museum and the Winnipeg Model Railroad Club. Built the building, and we resurrected the Gateway Western that used to be on the main floor of the CN station many years ago. So this is our work in progress for the Gateway Western. I like the construction part and also just meeting all the different people. I was a big part of building the building itself and also all the bench work in here. This is HO, and HO is pretty much the most popular scale at this point. And it's a good size. It's not too small, it's not too big, and you can pack a lot of railroading into an area. Depending on the length of the train, 5 or 6 trains you can run. Primarily it's all DCC, with the exception of there's one loop of track that is strictly DC. The reason for that is when the museum is open, they require trains to be running. So with the DC system, basically we just turn it on and let it run. If there's nobody that knows anything about DCC, then the DC layout, you just flip the switch and let it run, and people can see trains running on the layout when they come in. DC is a direct current or conventional analog type operation. Basically you supply power to the motor, you increase the voltage, and it makes the motor turn faster and your trains go faster and slower. With digital DCC, which is digital command control, basically you have constant power running to the rails, and you have a little decoder inside each locomotive, and you have a handheld control, and you mate your controller with the engine number, for instance, on your locomotive, and you communicate directly with that locomotive from your handheld control. So you can run several independent, depending on the system, you can run up to maybe 1,000 trains on your layout, if you like, all independent of each other. As you can see, there's several trains, they're running in different directions. So you can have a cornfield meet, they call it, where you can have 2 trains coming together, which is not ideal, but you can run your railroad more realistically, a little bit easier with DCC. And it's the wave of the future as well. You can hear their sound coming from the locomotives. With DC, that's a little bit more difficult. It can be done, but you don't have as many features running on DC as you do DCC. We have a work session every Tuesday night from 7 to 9, and people are welcome to come by and see what we're doing. And there's a few of us, there's some retirees, so we come during the week and work on the layout as well. It's kind of a hit and miss on what we do during the day, but pretty much every Tuesday night we have a work session, and there's about 8 to 10 people that show up for that on a regular basis. Whenever it gets done, you know, it's all volunteers, so you can't fire the volunteers, so.
Hi, I'm your host, Connor McBride, and this is Digital Education, where we go to your school and show how you're using technology to learn and teach. So I'm here with John Anderson, professor at the University of Manitoba. So can you tell us more about, like, you know, how long you've been here and what you do here?
Sure. I run the Autonomous Agents Lab at the University of Manitoba. It's part of the Computer Science Department. I've been doing that for about 20 years, and the stuff you're going to see today has sort of been built up over maybe the last 10. It's been different iterations of stuff. What we do here is work on artificial intelligence in a very practical sense. So what you're going to see is artificial intelligence embedded inside robots that do a range of interesting things. So instead of, for example, a robot that, you know, vacuums your rug for you, which you can see right now, it's more along the lines of a robot that is still in its infancy, but might be able to do a lot of things around the house and around the world for people.
All right, let's check it out. So I'm here with Colin Waldner now. Colin, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you're doing here?
Yes, like you said, my name is Colin Waldner. I'm a second-year computer science student here at U of M. I joined this lab in September last semester, and I'm very new and I'm learning this stuff. I had just went to Beijing in December to participate in Hero Cup. So one of our main objectives here is to program these robots to do certain events, participate in certain events, and then bring them to these competitions. So I was one of 2 students who went. Unfortunately, we can only send 1 or 2. In reality, we have 10 members here, so it was quite challenging.
That's awesome. And so what did you do in Beijing? Or I guess I should ask, what did the robots do in Beijing?
Well, they didn't quite do exactly what we wanted them to do. There was about 8 to 10 events. There was a sprint, a basketball, weightlifting, there was soccer, marathon, long jump, and I think that's about it. So we had our robots participate in every single event. And there was one of the tough parts was it was just myself and 1 other student, and we were up against teams of 6 to 10 with 1 or 2 robots, and we had 5 robots there. So that was really tough.
I believe it. How do you make the robots do stuff that humans can do in the Olympics? Okay, it's a pretty loaded question, and I'll start with, when we get to the lab, the first thing we work on is the vision. It's image processing. You have a webcam that's in the robots, and you can detect shapes and colors. What you do is you take the pixels from what you see, what we would see. They're pixels and stored as numerical values, and we take those and perform other processing stuff, and we can make them detect colors and shapes, and that's the premise, or that's the starting point of each of these events. And then we have actions that they can perform. So if you can walk up to a line and then lift a weight like you saw, or you walk up to a ball, you pick it up and throw it into a basket. So each event had those characteristics to them. Wow, that's incredible. Again, this has been your host, Connor McBride, and I want to thank you for watching the first episode of Digital Education. This has been the Autonomous Agents Lab at the U of M.
Thank you for joining us today on Community Producers. I'm Tobias, and I've had a blast with you guys today. If you want to do exactly what I'm doing, or you want to work camera, do some sound, or just be in the Shaw world and learn about television, come and help out, or email us at createtv@shaw.ca. That's createtv@shaw.ca. And again, thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon.